This is a Fox News alert. I'm Brett Baer in Washington. A massive manhunt is going on right now in suburban Chicago for 3 men wanted as suspects in the murder of a veteran police officer. He was the 4th officer killed over the last month across this country. We will head live to Chicago for the latest on that story coming up. But first, major news in the 2016 race. CNN is changing its rules to possibly include Carly Fiorina in its upcoming debate. Over on the Democratic side, the entire campaign is seemingly held hostage by the scandal engulfing the frontrunner. We have Fox team coverage tonight. Ed Henry with what we're learning from the latest batch of Hillary Clinton emails. But we begin with chief political correspondent Carl Cameron and what appears to be a major boost for Fiorina's presidential bid. Good evening, Carl.
It's a big move, and it's going to be questioned. It's going to get a lot of scrutiny, and it comes with just 2 weeks from tomorrow when the next debate will happen. Today, CNN changed its rules. They announced that they will use only an average of national polls taken after the last debate to determine who the top 10 will be in the next primetime debate. That's good news for the only woman in the field. Carly Fiorina is currently hovering right around 7th place and would qualify were it now. That means those who have slipped, for instance, Chris Christie or Mike Huckabee or Rand Paul, could be facing a downgrade. In the meantime, frontrunner Donald Trump today launched the first truly tough attack ads of the 2016 campaign. Watch.
Yes, they broke the law, but it's not a felony. It's kind of it's an act of love.
Over menacing music, mugshots follow of illegal immigrants arrested for murder. Then the words appear, love. Forget love, it's time to get tough. Bush blames illegal immigration problems on President Obama's inattention and trumpeted hostility by the front-running GOP billionaire.
For 6 years now, under this administration, there hasn't been the kind of commitment to the border that we need to have. We have sanctuary cities. We have serious problems. Let's solve them. My candidacy is about solving problems rather than just kind of brash rhetoric that's not grounded in reality.
Trump's video says it's time to get tough, and Bush did, accusing Trump of gross distortions.
That little ad was just a complete mischaracterization of my thinking. It's almost as though Donald Trump is acting like a Washington politician. That's what they do. He believes in a single-payer system, that he's not only pro-choice but believes in partial birth abortion. Those are his words, not mine. I didn't exaggerate a single thing.
He launched a counterattack video, too.
I am pro-choice in every respect and as far as it goes. You'd be shocked if I said that in many cases I probably identify more as a Democrat.
Who would you like representing the United States in a deal with Iran, with this regime there?
Well, I think Hillary would do a good job.
Trump's video team punched back with Jeb praising Clinton at an awards ceremony.
Someone who has devoted her life to public service. I want to say thank you to both Secretary Clinton and to President Clinton.
What does that make Hillary Clinton to the Bush family? My sister-in-law.
Scott Walker jumped in on the Iran deal, noting that when it was initially unveiled, Bush said before tearing it up, Republicans should examine the details and craft a better alternative. Walker insists this next remark is not just an attack, but a contrast in styles.
Probably your candidate. If you want someone who knows today it's a bad deal and is not going to wait until the folks in Washington tell you it's all right, who's going to do what's right immediately on the very first day in office, then I'm your candidate.
In 10th place in recent national polls, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie could get knocked off the primetime debate stage in 2 weeks. He warned on The Tonight Show if he's overlooked, he'll react.
If I get to like 15 questions in a row, count them at home. I get that 15 in a row, they're going to go, uh-oh, he's going to go nuclear now. That's what I'm talking about, all right.
Well, it's Trump and Bush who are trading some mighty blows. And Carly Fiorina is celebrating tonight with the prospect that the CNN rules change make it very likely that she'll be debating in primetime. And somebody on the big stage might be on the verge of a demotion to the second tier, Brett.
We have seen these outsiders, Donald Trump across the nation, Ben Carson, particularly in Iowa, and Carly Fiorina surging really in recent weeks.
This has been described repeatedly for the last year as one of the strongest Republican fields in modern history, talking about the governors, the senators, their history, their experience, and it's the people who have none that are dominating the polls.
All right, Carl, thank you. Well, the issue of Hillary Clinton's email practices as Secretary of State could become a major factor in whether she wins the Democratic nomination. And it's against that backdrop that we examine more than 7,000 pages of newly released communications. Chief White House correspondent Ed Henry has some of the highlights.
Perhaps the most remarkable part of the new 7,000 pages is the moment in 2010 that Hillary Clinton's email went down, and not even the State Department's IT team knew about the use of her personal email address and server. Clinton reached out to close aide Huma Abedin, writing, "Do you know what this is?" Abedin responded, "Your email must be back up. They had no idea it was you, just some random address, so they emailed." Raising another new question for the State Department. Which officials were in the loop on the unusual arrangement?
Who signed off on her? I don't know. Again, I'm not going to answer that question.
A sharp reminder that in the 6 months since it was revealed she kept her own server, a series of Clinton's claims are now in doubt.
I want to be as transparent as possible, which is why I turned over 55,000 pages.
She skipped over a key reason why the emails were turned over, a subpoena from the House Select Committee on Benghazi. As for transparency, many emails in the State Department's latest document dump are partially or completely redacted. This June 4th, 2010 email from Abedin to Clinton with the subject line FYI is totally blank. Roughly 125 of the new emails are redacted because they contain classified information, despite this vow from Clinton.
I'm certainly well aware of the classification requirements.
She has since amended that to repeatedly stress she did not send or receive email marked classified. Yet a Washington Post fact check gave her 2 Pinocchios because some emails had so-called foreign government information that she should have known was classified even if it did not have markings.
If you know something's not classified, you've got a good sense of what should be as well.
And Clinton can't say she was not warned. In what is now an ironic exchange, her former campaign advisor Mark Penn wrote her, quote, "And if this is what WikiLeaks can get, what can the Chinese?" As for Clinton's recent claim that advice from controversial advisor Sidney Blumenthal was unsolicited, the new documents show Blumenthal popping up in no less than 297 emails, calling for Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas to be impeached, and slamming Speaker John Boehner by declaring, quote, "He is louche, alcoholic, lazy, and without any commitment to any principle."
Boehner's office would not respond to that personal slam, declaring instead the reason there's now an investigation of Clinton's possible mishandling of classified information is because of Boehner's decision to create that Benghazi committee. Brett?
Ed, thank you. As we told you at the top of the show, another Fox News alert, a massive manhunt is underway tonight near Chicago for 3 men suspected of killing a law enforcement officer during a foot chase. It happened in the city of Fox Lake, 55 miles north of Chicago. Let's get the latest now from correspondent Mike Tobin, who's in Fox Lake right now. Hi, Mike.
And, Brett, the manhunt is centered in this area known as the Chain of Lakes, a weekend or vacation area for a lot of people who live in the city. Taking live pictures as we can see what is happening. Police officers say they are looking for 3 suspects. 2 of them described only as white males, 1 described as a black male. It is presumed that they are armed and dangerous. Dangerous because they're linked to the slaying of a police officer. Armed because when backup arrived on the scene, that officer who was gravely wounded or dead, his weapon was missing. That is part of the search. Massive search, as you mentioned before. State police, local police, and federal agents have all descended on the scene. They seem to be paying a lot of attention to brush and a lot of the growth that has happened this year due to an unusual amount of rain in this area. All available resources have been marshaled. Here is Lake County Sheriff's Detective Chris Cavelli.
We are using many resources. We're using numerous air units to search from above and look below. We're using numerous canine units that are trying to sniff out and grab a hold of the scent of the offenders. And we have numerous police officers across northern Illinois as well, and we're joined by state agencies and federal agencies as well.
The slain officer is named Joe Glenowitz. He was a 30-year veteran. The community had nicknamed him G.I. Joe. He was a father of 4. His oldest son was getting his driver's license. He volunteered with an organization called Explorer Scouts. I spoke with a cop who knew him for 27 years who described him as a phenomenal police officer. Very athletic and very careful. Not someone who would have taken an unnecessary risk in this situation. Still, you have this officer slain and a community mourning the officer that they cared about enough to give him that endearing nickname, G.I. Joe. Brett?
Mike, we'll head back for any breaking developments. Mike Tobin, live in Fox Lake. Another horrible day on Wall Street as the market's wild ride continues. We'll go live to Trish Regan in New York coming up. First, here's what some of our Fox affiliates around the country are covering tonight. Fox 2 in San Francisco, where the family of Kate Steinle, who was killed on Pier 14 2 months ago, is suing city and federal officials. The suspect, undocumented Mexican national Juan Francisco Lopez Sanchez, had been released from jail despite a request from immigration to detain him. Fox 10 in Phoenix with the cleanup from Monday night's monsoon. That storm left 50,000 utility customers without service as of this morning. There were no immediate reports of serious injuries or deaths. And this is a live look at Atlanta from our affiliate, Fox 5. The big story there tonight, a police officer and homeowner shot during a raid on the wrong house last night. Officers investigating a possible burglary entered the home, took fire, then shot the family dog and the homeowner. The injured officer was likely shot by one of his colleagues. The investigation continues. That officer's in serious but stable condition. The homeowner was treated and released. That's tonight's live look outside the Beltway from Special Report. We'll be right back.